Part 6, when I was a public school teacher. So in my last video, I had a discussion with you that I did transition to the new school. And in addition to that, I had told you that I had went to that teacher boot camp that summer that was basically sun up to sundown. I took away many jewels from that. I learned a wealth of knowledge and I met a lot of neat people there. So moving forward, I still was that second grade self-contained teacher in a public school setting. When I went to this school, the good thing is that I had better administrators. You all remember the terrible experience that I told you with the administration and the teachers and the staff and the students and the parents. So I did have good administrators at this school. The teachers were a lot better. I was placed in a classroom because I was in an area where it was predominantly Hispanic. Now let me back up a little bit here. So 2 things that I need to share with you before I move forward with the video. At that time when I was teaching before COVID, the rule was that if a child was on an IEP or if they were non-English speaking students, even if they were failing, the lowest grade that you could give them was a C. And if you actually gave them the grade that they deserved, the administrators would go in and change the grades before report cards went out. So moving forward, I was in the classroom, like I said, predominantly Hispanic. So a lot of times I could not understand what the kids were talking about. They didn't understand what I was talking about. It was just a language barrier there, even to the point that when I was hands-on with children, when I would have to communicate with parents, like parent-teacher conferences, back to school night, just across the board parties, I had to have interpreters around me at all times. So there's nothing perfect. Sometime in life, we just kind of, navigate to what we can handle mentally, right? And into this video, I remember my principal had told me that she needed to speak with me. So I believe toward the end of school, a teacher came and relieved me. I went in her office and she told me, she said, your enrollment in your classroom is low. She said, your attendance is low. And I'm like, well, yeah, but why are we having this conversation? This is what I'm thinking in my mind. And she's like, so what are you going to do about it? And she caught me off guard. And I was thinking, what am I going to do about it? And she said, so what can you do that you think would get your students there in person with you? So I said, well, maybe a gift card. She said, excellent idea. She said, where at? And I said, maybe the Dollar Tree. She said, awesome. She said, how much? I said, maybe $10. She said, how about a gift card to Quick Trip? Quick Trip, if you're around the world and you're not familiar with the Quick Trip is just a convenience store. That's really